To see how the world looks from somebody else's perspective requires an aptitude for silence, an aptitude for quieting one's own noise down to hear somebody else, not just what they have to say in terms of their thinking, but in terms of how they really feel. And that's hard work.
Going on a trip to Israel that is funded and sponsored by a group sometimes makes at least me, and I know others that I've talked to, a little anxious that we're going to get a particular perspective or a one-sided view of a land that has many different complicated situations going on in it, both religious and political. So one of the gifts that I found out of this trip was a willingness to engage and talk about really complicated and difficult issues, not just in historical perspective, but also what's going on there now.
So this was an opportunity to really travel the country and see it through another set of eyes, which is a tremendously enriching experience.
When I signed on to the study trip, I expected to meet great people who were very concerned with the relationships between the major religions. I was expecting to engage in very in-depth and detailed discussions about some of the events that were occurring in the Middle East and the psychological and theological implications of many of these events. My expectations were very pleasantly met.
A bunch of the rabbis and Jewish participants went to Christian sites, for example, and the Christians went to Jewish sites and participated in Shabbat observance in Jerusalem. And that usually doesn't happen when people go to Israel and the Palestinian Territories. There's a lot of times that you can kind of have a sort of isolating experience, that you can go to all the Christian sites and talk with all your Christian friends about those Christian sites, but not really participate in any of the sort of Jewish or Israeli culture around you.
One moment being a pilgrimage to a site where we had a particular religious affiliation and connection, to the next minute being a teaching opportunity because people were asking tons of questions, to the next minute a discussion of a variety of perspectives.
Having people with very different theological and political perspectives means that you can never get comfortable. Every time you get on the bus and sit down and you're ready to relax and let go, somebody plops themselves down next to you and challenges you to rethink your assumptions and to re-examine your views.
Having people of other religions on this trip made a profound difference in the experience.
The most powerful discovery for me on this trip was the reminder that we all need to be able to articulate our religious beliefs, our convictions to people who are outside of our own traditions, and the importance of being able to do that is good for both ourselves and our neighbors.
I keep coming back to the same thing. What was important to me on this trip is a sense of collegiality, of feeling in a real sense that we are all praying to the same God, that we are all involved in the same mission, and perhaps the idiom in which we do that is different. The ability to know each other and talk and share the things that we share is enormously wonderful, helpful.
By bringing people together, it's a really unique trip and a unique opportunity to learn and both sort of witness other people's religious experiences.
Wrestling with how do you deal with such pluralism, such diversity? It's not a question of can we live with diversity. There's no choice. You have to contend with divergent points of view, and the capacity to have a sacred argument, to have disagreements build up a society rather than tear it down, is a huge challenge that's faced in Israel, and it makes us look, I think, at America differently, because we too have a long way to go in terms of really understanding the distinct and particular experiences of different people.
Often we just want all for one for all, and it takes a lot of trust and commitment to relationship to begin to talk about where we have different disagreements or different perspectives.
I think that whenever a friendship is forged, whenever intimacy happens, there's an element of vulnerability. You let somebody into your heart and you allow your mind to get rattled and disoriented by the thinking of somebody else. And so what I continually discover on a trip like this is that the power of friendship to change the world is an unacknowledged power.
Well, obviously, yes, I would recommend that others take advantage of this trip. There was never a dull moment, so yes, go on that trip.